Hola, hola, and welcome to Cultura Cash. This is Gigi, your host. I'm a influencer, financial educator, speaker, and the award-winning author of Cultura Cash. Today, we are having a solo episode, and the topic is a life update, 6 months in Spain. First, some quick housekeeping. Regarding Spotify, we are still boycotting Spotify. Fuck Spotify. They support ICE. Please cancel your premium subscription if you have it. Please stop using the platform altogether. I got a comment on one of my videos denouncing Spotify, saying, well, I don't get these ICE ads because I pay premium. You're missing the point. It's not about that. It's about supporting a platform that takes advertising money from ICE and the Homeland Security and how inhumane they're being to our community. So not all advertising money is good money, and Spotify knows that, and they don't care. They doubled down. They said that it doesn't violate their policy. So we are boycotting and getting off the platform. I will stop uploading new podcasts to the platform in the next couple weeks. So they'll be available everywhere else, but please, please, please get off Spotify. Next, I am running a Black Friday sale. I never do. I know I should. Obviously, it's a smart marketing tactic, right? But this is the first time that I'm like, okay, this feels in line with me. So I'll give you guys a heads up on what the sale is going to be. It's going to be for my investing course. This will be open to my newsletter subscribers first. They'll get the email next Monday. So if you don't subscribe already, please sign up to subscribe. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up 10 slots for solo 30-minute money coaching sessions with me when you purchase the investing course. So basically right now, the investing course, it includes about 3.5 hours of video material where I break down investing post the chapter of investing in my book. So in the book, I'm just able to get to the basics. And the investing course that I created back in 2022, it's much more thorough. It'll really help you feel as a confident investor as you take your journey to the next level. But right now, it currently just comes with monthly group coaching that are available office hours for you to come and ask questions. With this Black Friday sale, I'm going to, again, for the first 10 people that sell before, I think the sale will start that Monday and then it'll close by Black Friday. The first 10 people will have, as a bonus, an additional 30 minutes with me where they can just have that privacy and that one-on-one time with me to review any questions they have about the course or really anything related to their finances, specifically regarding their budget, their debt, any general money questions where I can share some financial education. That is valued at $250 each for a 30-minute money coaching session. And honestly, I hardly open up my books to do money coaching anyway. So it's very, very rare. So if you are interested in having some one-on-one time with me, take advantage of that Black Friday sale coming up soon and keep an eye out for it in your email. And then if those spots aren't filled by my newsletter subscribers, I will open up to the social media channels. So yeah, keep an eye out for the email. And then lastly, I did want to give an update on the Spanish translation of Cultura Cash. As I mentioned in a previous episode, I was not able to secure the funding that I needed to be able to move forward with the project. So instead, I'm going to have to crowdfund the cost because as an indie author, I have to shoulder the costs of publishing this and translating this book. It's not like I have a book deal or a publisher that's doing this for me. But since then, I had got overwhelming support from the community saying, let's do this. We got you. We're going to raise the money for this. So I have started working with my translator. Her name's Susana, to get the ball rolling on the translation. And we are about 1/3 of the way done. She's doing great. My role in it is to review what she's translated and then to make some small tweaks to make it sound more like me, because the book should be written in my voice, right? So let's see here. Regarding the GoFundMe campaign, that will launch in January. I had plans to launch that in November, but I'm going to do a December detox, which you'll learn more about in my finale episode next week. So I'm having some time to rest and recover in December, and I think I know that will help me come back stronger in January to really hit this GoFundMe campaign hard. For anybody that's curious, Gigi, why are you doing a GoFundMe instead of a Kickstarter? I considered both, but I know for a fact that my readers all know what a GoFundMe is, and not everybody knows what a Kickstarter is. So people don't know what a Kickstarter is. That means that I have to provide education. So that's a heavier lift, right, on what a Kickstarter is. Also, some people might think, oh, I have to sign up and register. That's another barrier for people to contribute. I want to make it easy for people to be able to contribute. So the GoFundMe is the easiest way to do that. So again, keep an eye out for that early in 2026. And now back to today's topic, which is what life is like 6 months post-move to Spain. I did want to give a little context that I had a lot of time to prepare for this transition, right? This was a move that was 6 years in the making. And by 6 months, there's definitely a trend with a lot of people that move where the honeymoon phase is over. And you're just like, oh, great. Like things haven't changed much. The honeymoon has worn off and now I'm just doing life. Because my friend Seppi from She Hair Refresh, who I learned so much from, she likes to say life abroad is still life, right? So life still happens. You still got to deal with life. It's not like you go to this fantasy land and everything's perfect. Like things still happen. So what I wanted to share in this episode is now that it's been 6 months, obviously some of the rose-colored glasses aren't as rosy anymore. I still love it here. I do want to say that. I still love it here. I still see myself living here long term. I'm actually trying to convince my dad to immigrate here. We've already talked about him immigrating in the next 10, 15 years, but I was talking to him about some stuff going down in Mexicali, and I'm like, Dad, things are getting bad. Like, why wait? Just come. So I'm going to keep trying to convince him to come sooner than later, but he's a tough old bird. It's hard to get him to do anything. All right. So anywho, I wanted to share some of the things that, again, I wouldn't have known until I actually lived here for 6 months. One of those being when I first had the idea to move abroad, and I was very excited once I landed here with my 3 suitcases. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be frolicking all over Europe, country hopping, and I won't be jet lagged like I have been the times that I've traveled from the US because of the time difference. And oh my God, the flights are going to be so cheap because you can go on like Ryanair and get a flight for 30 bucks, 30 euros. That is not happening. The first 3 months, that didn't happen because we were so bogged down with just getting settled in, doing the bureaucracy piece and getting our visa right and all our paperwork. But after that, once we got settled in, I realized that me specifically, I couldn't do that. Meaning I couldn't travel freely because I had some restrictions. And these restrictions don't apply to everyone. They apply to me because of my situation. But I just wanted to share them for anybody who is in a similar position where they want to move to Spain or abroad at some point in the future. These are things that I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'm not going to be taking a flight to, France whenever I want because of these restrictions. So one of the restrictions is for tax purposes, for U.S. tax purposes, for me to get the biggest tax deduction, let's say the biggest tax benefit, because there's several tax benefits for people that live abroad, okay? But one of the biggest ones is if you stay out of the U.S., let me see. How do I phrase this? I cannot be in the U.S. more than 35 days a year. Because basically that's when they're like, oh, you really don't live here. Like it's not like you're living in both countries. No, you are living somewhere else. And that's when they give you a big deduction, right? So I have to track my time of how long I've been in the U.S. on U.S. soil because they keep track of all of that. So I have to keep track of it too to make sure that I stay within those parameters. So that's not fun. I mean, it's just not fun. I'm not used to having restrictions like that, right? So it's not ideal, which means that any travel to the U.S. for the next 2 years has to be strictly related to work where I'm earning an income and doing in-person events and getting paid. But, come to Phoenix so we can go to Sedona for a week. That's not happening. That's not happening for the next 2 years because, again, of this travel restriction for U.S. tax purposes. The other travel restriction was like, okay, I can't go to the U.S. That's fine. I mean, I moved to Spain to be able to travel in Europe. That's fine. I can't go to my home country more than 35 days, but at least I can just be around here, right, and explore different countries. That's not happening either because since my long-term goal is to apply for citizenship after 2 years of meeting the residency requirements here, I am not allowed to be outside of Spain, according to my attorney, for more than 3 months out of a 12-month period. So I forgot to mention, sorry, for the 35 days that I can't be in U.S. soil more than 35 days, that's per year. So I cannot be in the U.S. more than 35 days a year to be able to get that big tax benefit. And regarding on the Spanish side, if I am looking again, this is not tax related, this is citizenship related or residency related. If I want to have the ability to have a clean application to apply for citizenship in 2 years after residency, I cannot be outside of Spain for more than 3 months a year, according to my attorney. I've shared this, I forget where, I think on Instagram or somewhere, and somebody's like, oh, it's actually 2 months. There's a lot of confusion. I'm going to be conservative, and yes, my attorney said 3, but I'm going to be conservative and go with the 2 months, so I'm sticking to that. And which is weird, right? You think I should be able to trust my lawyer, but again, why is there confusion around that? And then, but yeah, I'd rather be conservative than just try to hope that 3 months is okay. And then the other issue is that, again, it's outside of Spain, not the EU, because that's something else that people fight me on. They're like, oh, you can go to France, you can go to the Netherlands. It's all part of the EU and there's no border control, right? Well, what I've heard is that that's true. There isn't, but they keep flight logs of where you go, right? Or I don't know if they do train logs as well. But anywho, I would be doing flights because it's not that easy from where I am in Spain just to take a train to Germany, right? It had to be a flight. So I'm not one to bend the rules, especially when it comes to something serious like this. So I am definitely doing things by the book, which means that any traveling within Spain, any traveling for the next 2 years has to be within Spain. It cannot be more than 2. I cannot be out of Spain more than 2 months. Sorry, we kind of made a roundabout. I cannot be out of Spain for more than 2 months if I want to apply for citizenship after 2 years of residency. I went to Italy this summer with my husband and eventually met with my friend Leanne. No regrets there. I went to Cinque Terre. I'd never been. I've been to other parts of Italy, but not Cinque Terre. So I am so glad I went. But I'm glad I discovered that because I'm like, oh, no more traveling outside of Spain because of this restriction. I am going to Germany next month. I'm going to meet Vanessa from Wander Onwards, which I'm so excited because me and Vanessa have been online friends for a long time. So I'm finally going to get to meet her, and it's my first time in Germany. So that'll be fun. But again, I'm tracking that time outside of Spain because it does count against me. And it makes sense, right? You know, the Spanish government wants to make sure you're applying for Spanish citizenship because you want to be in Spain, not because so that you can get a Spanish passport that then gives you EU access, and then you go and take your passport and live in Italy, live in Portugal or somewhere else, right? They want you to be here paying taxes here. So that's why they're so strict with the travel restrictions. So what that means is that limits, again, my travel to the US for tax purposes and my travel outside of Spain, not outside of the EU, outside of Spain for residency/citizenship requirements. And it's okay. Spain is beautiful. Spain is a huge country. And so far I've been able to go to Barcelona since moving here. We went to Mallorca again a couple of weeks ago. There's a lot to see. There's a lot in Spain that I haven't seen. I haven't been to Granada. I'd love to visit Salamanca, the north of Spain, Bilbao. There's a lot. So, but yeah, for the next year and a half, it will have to be within Spain, most of my European travel. And again, keeping track of how much time I have spent out of Spain, and for it to not be more than 2 months in that 12-month period. Sorry to get geeky there, but I just had no idea I would have restrictions. And I'm mentioning it too because I have met with other women that have lived here, and they're going to Morocco, they're going to China, they're going all over the place, and they have plans to apply for residency too. And I'm like, wait, are you aware of the travel restrictions? What travel restrictions? So again, something to look into, to kind of get more educated on. The other thing that I didn't really realize how difficult it would be, I actually have mentioned this one before, but now I have more information, and this would be securing a driver's license. I wasn't hoping to get a car. I haven't had a car for 3 years because in Chicago we got rid of our car when we moved to Chicago from Phoenix. So we haven't had a car for now 3.5 years or something. I love the walkability of my neighborhood. Everything is within a 5 or 10 minute walk. The weather's beautiful, so it's nice to get out and get some fresh air. But again, keeping in mind that we are limited to traveling within Spain, now we definitely see the value in having a car, right? Because we can take a quick little weekend trip to a different area of the country in a car. Of course, there's trains and flights and all that other stuff, but it's just much nicer, right? And we'd be able to bring the dog, Mia. So that'd be nice. So now we're like, oh, I guess we should get a driver's license and I get a car. We can easily get a car. They have no issue selling you a car without a license, but yeah, you have to be obviously licensed here to be able to live here long term and drive. And unfortunately, you can't just trade your U.S. license. They do have agreements with other countries where you can trade your driver's license. Unfortunately, the U.S. is not one of them. So, and they don't care that you have 20, 30 years of driving experience. They're like, nope, you have to go to driving school. You have to take a 3,000 question bank. It's costly, it's time consuming. It costs up to $1,000 to do it. David is currently going through driving school, and I think he paid 800 euros. So he's going to get his driver's license first just because he's more itching to get a car and travel nearby, where me, I can wait, but I definitely am going to have to make the investment, time and money investment in getting my driver's license too, because I can't just be a woman of a certain age, a woman of 36 and not being able to drive like a kid, right? So I need to have that flexibility. But again, that's something that I really didn't realize until I got here. This one is actually not on the script, but I want to mention it because I think it's important. Now that we're here, we didn't realize how discriminatory the Spanish government is against some breeds. So for example, pit bulls, Dobermans, what they consider aggressive breeds, right? Rottweilers, all these sweet dogs that get bad reps, they call them PPPs. I forget what it stands for, but something about prohibidos. I don't know I forget what it stands for. But they, in the UK, they straight out ban pit bulls. Here, luckily, they don't ban them, but they do make them wear a muzzle in public. And because of that, you also have to get insurance for them. They also have to be leashed at all times. They are treated like little prisoners. It's so sad. And that's something that to me, I see as very backwards, right? And I know that that's just how they do things here. Things are going to be different, but I always saw Spain as a very progressive country. But to see the treatment of these misunderstood dogs like that, I'm like, wow. So if you guys remember from my IG stories, we had to rehome Maya, who was a dog that we adopted from Mexico back last November, actually around this time last November. And one of the main reason was because her and Bailey didn't get along because she was a ball of energy and Bailey was an old lady. But the second reason was because we have found out this thing about her being classified as a PPP. And even if she's a mixed breed of a pit bull, which she was, that would still count. And again, you have to muzzle them anytime they're in public, which I think is so cruel. Landlords will not rent to you. It's just, if you need to get a pet sitter, they need to be certified to be able to watch PPPs. Like, it's a whole thing. So it really only makes sense to have a PPP if you're out in the campo and have like a huge yard where they can run free and you're not really out in the city with them. Otherwise, it's just like so sad to see them. Poor baby. I did see one today breaking the law. He did not have his muzzle, but they're so cute. So I told the guy, oh, está hermoso. But there's other dogs too that have muzzles. So I think muzzles are just common here. I saw a freaking corgi with a muzzle. So I think it's just part of the culture here. I just would never put a muzzle on my dog unless they were at the vet getting a shot or something to keep the vet safe. But that's just me. Anywho, all right, so let's get through the rest of them. This other one, getting a little geeky for any fellow freelancers, business owners, the taxes and the business formation of it all. So this one, I mean, you can try to prep before your move, but it's really hard because everybody's tax situation, everybody's business setup, formation is different. So there is no generic advice. So I'm just going to share what applied to me. And if, that inspires you to get more educated on your end, then that would be helpful to you, right? But I wish I would have done a little more research. But again, I think people have such a hard time figuring it out that they don't really come out and share, I learned this, I learned that. So it's definitely something that's missing, I would say, in these circles. Everybody says meet with a tax lawyer or a CPA before your move to understand the tax implications before your move. I did do that. And what was clear to me was taxes were going to go up, which is fine. Nobody moves to Western Europe to pay less taxes. I understood that. But then the other big outstanding factor was he said, well, I can't give you advice on the formation of your business because do you know if you're staying long term or not? I said, I don't know. I've never lived in Spain before. I don't know if I want to stay there or not. I don't know if my husband's going to like it. I don't know if he's going to adapt well and learn Spanish. I don't know. So when I had this consultation in April or March of 2025 before our move, that was a big unknown. So now that I am clear that Spain is long-term for me, I don't have plans to go to the US. So I know that it doesn't make sense for me to keep my LLC with the S Corp election. Again, if you don't have a small business, you can probably skip through this part. But if you do, or you plan to start a small business, this can become relevant because basically with the S Corp tax election, you're able to deduct the salary that you pay yourself as a business expense. Spain does not recognize that. So you don't get that tax benefit, which when I first realized that, I was like, ouch, that hurt. That really hurt. And that's one of the ways that the U.S. is much more business friendly to entrepreneurs than Spain. Here, the Spanish people have a lot of resentment towards the Spanish government because they feel that they just want to dry out freelancers and people that work for themselves because there really aren't tax benefits or they don't make it easy to be a freelancer. So I'm really glad that I already had 4 years of experience working for myself because if you do it here from scratch, I would have tossed in the towel for sure, because again, there's so many hoops to jump through. So anywho, now that I do know that I am staying here and I have met with CPAs again and said, okay, I am clear on my situation. We're staying in Spain. Now the advice that works best for my personal situation is to dissolve that S Corp, which means accountants have to get involved. Forms have to be filed. Luckily, I'm not dealing with that. I have outsourced that, but it's a pain in the ass and it is what it is. That's what I get for wanting to be an international business girly. So my tax situation isn't as easy as it used to be. I actually had to get a new tax team that was an expert in U.S. and Spanish taxes because the tax team that I had before in the U.S. only knew how to do U.S. taxes. Hello. So that comes at a cost, right? Because they have more experience. So I'm actually paying double what I used to pay. I used to pay $300 to my tax team in the U.S. and now I'm paying over $600. So quite the price increase, but it is what it is. It is what it is. No point in complaining because it is what it is. I do want to share here that if you're somebody who is planning to come to Spain on the digital nomad visa, but with a W-2 job, it is much easier and you don't have to deal with any of this crap. I know that because my husband came here with his W-2 job, and he actually gets an excellent tax situation where he qualifies for the Beckham law. Beckham, like David Beckham, they created this tax treaty where foreigners who have traditional W-2 jobs of their own, they only get taxed, I think, at 24%, a flat 24% on their income, which is crazy. That's like U.S. taxation low. I'm paying double that almost. And he gets that benefit for 6 years. So I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous, but I'm not jealous of him having to be logged into work at 8 and having to do town halls and me sleeping until 10:30. So, you give and you take. To finish up here, other things that, again, I wouldn't have known until I had been an immigrant here for 6 months is not knowing my tenant rights. First, my landlord is great, super friendly guy. But I will say we've had a couple of things here and there with the building. The building's a 20-year-old building, so it's not the oldest, but, things can go wrong. And usually him and the management company are really good about dealing with it. But a few weeks ago, we had a more major issue where there was a pipe leak because one of the pipes was clogged. So we were not able to use the toilet. They actually had to rip into our ceiling. They left a big old hole. It was leaking sewage, drainage, right? I don't know. It would smell disgusting, as I'm sure you can picture, right? So that was tough. And then they finally got it fixed, but we still can't use the toilet. Long story short, it's been 2 weeks and we can still not use that toilet, which it's annoying because we both work from home. So we're here all the time. So we definitely need access to 2 toilets because otherwise we're fighting over the one toilet. But I don't know what my rights are. I don't know if I'm owed any compensation for this. I don't know how long the landlord has to resolve this. I'm sure I can look into it, but other things are my priority. So right now I'm just putting up with it and pushing my landlord to hey, this still isn't working, Also remember the culture here is very slow pace. So it's funny because David's oh, I'm going to keep my phone on in case they come on the weekend. I just started laughing. I'm like, are you stupid? There's no plumber coming on the weekend. To me, it was just very obvious. And I think that's from living in Mexico for a few years that they're not coming. I mean, unless you pay them, right? And really say this is an urgent matter. Otherwise, they're coming when they want, and that'll be on Monday or Tuesday. So that was really funny for David. He couldn't believe it because, again, in the U.S., it's very much about customer service, where here it's more about work-life balance. So they're not going to make a plumber come on the weekend unless it's a major emergency, like I said, which ours wasn't. The other thing that was difficult in dealing with that was that the Spanish they use is different. It's similar, but it's different. So when I was speaking to the what I would call plumber, they're called fontaneros here, right? So different terms. For example, cubeta. He's like, you're gonna have to put a cubeta here for the leaking water, but he called it a cuba. I'm like, what the fuck is a cuba? I figured out it's a cubeta. The same thing for the toilet. I'm used to calling it an excusado. They call it an inodoro. The shower, I'm used to calling it la regadera. They call it la ducha. So it's just little things like that I'm just like, what? What do you? I speak Spanish and you speak Spanish, but I am not understanding what you're saying. So I'm very thankful that I speak Spanish, where David, he would not be able to deal because it's just different, right? It's different. So what I've learned is to just have the people that come here and work on stuff send voice notes to the property management. That way they're both on the same page, because I don't want to be in charge for relaying the message of what the plumber said, because again, the terms, the lingo, they're all different. So that way it's Spanish to Spanish and it's all resolved. But yeah, so I mean, if these are my biggest problems, right? These are definitely first world problems. I'm just really happy with this building. I'm really happy with the unit, with the location. So I am fine with dealing with a couple of these issues as they get resolved. But definitely feeling that immigrant struggle of not knowing how to advocate for myself. And I know that with time, I'll feel more confident and knowledgeable to be doing that. But for now, I'm just kind of trucking through it. And to end on a positive note, I want to share some things that I'm looking forward to or that I'm grateful for. First, I'm very grateful to be done with the bureaucracy piece of this all. I have secured my Spanish residency card, which is good for 3 years. So that's nice. Then I'll have to deal with the ayuntamiento, the city hall for appointments and things like that. At least for now. For now. The other thing that I'm excited about is that right now, this is November of 2025. In exactly a year, which means November of 2026, I will be starting to work with my immigration attorney who helped me with my visa to start gathering the paperwork for my Spanish citizenship application. It's going to take 6 months to gather my paperwork, is what I was told. And I want to be able to apply as soon as the 2-year mark hits. So I am eligible to apply for residency after 2 years of arriving here, which was in April of 2025, which means that come April 2027, I will be eligible to apply. And I want to have all my ducks in a row to be like, here, review my application and just make it easy and take advantage of that. So I'm so excited about that. I'm 1/4 of the way there, meeting the residency requirement. Of course, have to stay compliant with tax laws, no criminal offenses, things like that. I'm also excited to continue building community. Since my last update, I have met a wonderful group of Black and brown women who have immigrated to Spain too. A lot of them are from the States. Some are from Latin America. Unfortunately, none are Mexican. There are not a lot of Mexicans in Valencia. There's a lot of Mexicans in Madrid, which makes sense. It's a capital city, but I have not met any fellow Mexicans in Valencia, which makes me a little sad. But I have found some decent tacos, so that's okay for now. And then lastly, I'm excited about creating a routine that I can really stick to and really take advantage of the slower pace of life. Something that's been a little frustrating is I've been here 6 months, but I still don't feel that I've mastered a routine that works for me having to deal with US hours, but being 6 hours ahead, right? So I am taking the month of December to figure that out. So again, I'll talk more about that in the season finale, which will air next week. But other than that, that's it for today. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it on IG stories, tag me, send me a DM, and I'll show you some love. Feel free to email me if you would like any future questions or topics covered on the podcast. The email is hi@thefirstgenmentor.com. Thanks for listening, and hasta la próxima.